The growth team job is to get somebody in the door, and the retention team is to keep them. The easiest way to do that is to get them on a subscription, and then the retention team works on keeping them. Great brands will have those teams communicate, but the best brands look at an entire cohesive strategy.
There's no brand loyalty until they have a good experience over a certain amount of time.
Gyms are really just obsessed with getting you in the door, and that's all they really care about, and they make it really, really hard to cancel. That's their entire membership strategy. And yes, sometimes they might work on equipment or other things, but the truth is how you acquire somebody directly impacts whether they stay or not.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Unstoppable Marketer podcast. With me, as always, is Mark Goldhart, my wonderful co-host. How are you, Mark?
Well. Doing well.
Great. This is the first time I've introduced you and you haven't been on your phone. Not an interesting day today.
First for everything.
Or I got your attention. Or we have a guest.
We have a guest.
So you're being
I'm less likely
gentleman
to be on my phone when we have guests.
Okay. All right. I'm not offended. I take that as a compliment because we know each other so well.
We do. It's usually business related.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, let's introduce our guest. We got an awesome guest. This is a guest we haven't had on the podcast ever, which is kind of
it's funny.
Surprising because we've worked so much together. We've known each other for a long time, but we've talked about it enough. Have I been on your podcast?
Yeah.
Well, that's rude.
And you're coming on again.
Yeah, that's right.
There's enough of a gap in between the appearances.
That's rude of me.
That is
and
rude.
it was a while ago, I feel like.
Never gave him the invite.
You were one of my first guests, Trevor.
I'm sorry. Well, anyway, if you're hearing this voice or seeing it, this is Matt Holman. Matt Holman, welcome. Matt Holman is the co-founder of Subscription Prescription and the founder of Commerce Catalyst. Tell us a little bit about Subscription Prescription and Commerce Catalyst. We work with both.
Absolutely.
So really cool, two different businesses, but very similar goals.
Right, absolutely. Well, it's funny because they kind of started around the same time.
Yeah.
I left, I was working at eHub, a local, logistics company here in Utah, and joined my partner, David Bradley, on subscriptions. And at the same time founded a little meetup to help myself and a few other friends that were solo marketers at bootstrap startups. And that was the genesis of Commerce Catalyst, which is an e-commerce community here in Utah. We do workshops, events. We have 2 big conferences each year. Slack group, newsletter. It's all about just giving people in the space more access to resources, but also to each other, right? Like get to meet you guys at an event, that kind of thing.
Totally.
And then Subscription Prescription was just kind of honestly was started out as a marketing gimmick. We were working for a Shopify integration for our subscription app and wanted to create a cool newsletter. So just started out as a newsletter with tips and ideas based off of our experience managing subscription programs for clients. And it started to take off, not because people wanted to buy the software, but because there wasn't really anybody else trying to share advice that was fairly independent or objective. And so now, fast forward a few years with the newsletter podcast, we work directly with subscription brands to grow their subscription program. So we've worked with a lot of people together, clients like Learning with Kelsey, Beehive Meals, currently working with Just Ingredients, another big well-known Utah brand. And a lot of what we do is helping brands figure out how to get more subscribers and keep them in a way that makes sense for both the brand and the consumer.
Totally. Yeah, we've worked with Matt a lot. I mean, anytime we have a subscription business, generally we try to pass them that way because it's a different element to the overall ecosystem of e-commerce. It just adds a whole different piece to the puzzle. And when you are unable to, when you work so hard on acquisition, you can't get people to stick around, especially when you have a product that you need people to be sticking around for, there's just no point. And so almost instantaneously, the moment we work with somebody, we're hey, at least talk to Matt, know? And
if you think about a typical paid media agency is normally really concerned with just CAC and they're but you guys have a totally different philosophy where you're looking at lifetime value and payback period and overall profitability of customers you acquire.
Totally.
Well, it makes sense that if a brand you're working with has crap for a subscription program and a huge leaky bucket with subscriptions, your work is going to be that much harder, right?
And it's not even that. It's we won't work with them very long, right? Because they'll, we could be doing great work, but if they're
not going to see the bank statement.
Exactly.
Right?
If their payback period isn't for 3 months and they need it to be 2 months or something like that, and nobody's actively working to accomplish that, then our work is too expensive.
Yep.
You know, so
even non-subscription brands, right? Like there's a payback period for LTV, and like you have to realize it within a certain amount of time.
Right.
And a lot of the strategy depends on that, because even if you're first order profitable, there's still cash flow, there's still other issues, there's OpEx, there's all this other stuff going on. So in order to grow profitably and at the right rate, you have to strategize around that realization period. But I have a question for you, Matt.
Sure.
Because I think a lot of people who start a subscription company, or maybe they already have a company and they say, hey, let's introduce a subscription, think that subscription is just retention.
Yep. That's what a lot of people think. Well, the funny was you're talking about this problem. It's like a lot of brands, they have a growth team and they have a retention team. And the growth team job is to get somebody in the door, and the retention team is to keep them. And the growth team often views the easiest way to do that is to get them on a subscription. And then the retention team works on keeping them. And great brands will like have those teams communicate, but the best brands like look at a entire like cohesive strategy for how they're acquiring. So like if you look at a brand like Grunes, right? Like they didn't just grow to that size because they were great at paid media. They grew to that size because they were disciplined on their CAC to LTV ratio. And they would only acquire customers if they knew based on how long they were going to keep them, how profitable that would be for them, right? And that has to be top down for that to work. But I don't know if you even got your question, I might have cut you off.
Well, no, because I want to hear from you. Why is that flawed thinking? Is that just like a regular retention strategy works in subscription? And why do we find these leaky buckets that are different than just regular retention marketing?
Yeah, I do think because a lot of people think about it as kind of like a two-step process, or, I mean, the analogy that I love to use is just like a gym, because I think most people have had a gym membership at one point in their life, but it's like gyms are really just obsessed with getting you in the door. And that's all they really care about. And they make it really, really hard to cancel. That's their entire like membership strategy. And yes, sometimes they might work on equipment or other things, but like the truth is like how you acquire somebody directly impacts whether they stay or not. And in the case of the gym example, if you're running really, really big specials around January and you're getting a lot of people in there that aren't going to stick around, those people are going to cancel really, really quickly. Yeah. If you're not focused on acquiring the type of people that are going to find a lot of value out of your particular gym, whether that's a Vasa or a boutique gym or something like that, you're going to have people that are going to be dissatisfied when they're there, or they're not a good fit, or they're going to come in, they're going to come once, they're going to hate it, and they're going to never come back again. The same thing happens with subscriptions. So if you don't think about that as an entire experience, you're basically just putting things in to see what happens. And then the only real mechanism you're left with at that point is like discounting or trying to make it harder or trickier to cancel, or you're going to give away the farm to try to keep somebody maybe for one more order that isn't going to be profitable for you either. So you lose a lot of tools if you just dump people in a retention bucket and hope that they'll stay.
Yeah. Do you have something that you wanted to follow up with that?
Well, the follow-up is just, I think in the subscription world, it tends to lean consumable,
right? Which
is inherently a tighter margin business model, which is why it matters even more to have that LTV to CAC ratio, right? Because there's a lot of subscription brands that are like, they don't even care if they're profitable first order at all.
Right.
You know, they're just counting on, hey, if I can get an 80% retention rate over the first 3 months and then a 50 over the next 3 months, or whatever those ratios are, they come out positive.
Right.
So it's just a totally different game that they end up playing. And a lot of people don't realize how competitive it is in that space, not just on the acquisition side, but even in the retention side. There's no brand loyalty until they have a good experience over a certain amount of time too. So the subscription side, I think that's what's interesting, is like you have the subscription itself and the tactics of keeping people within a certain subscription tier, or elevating them, or making sure, you know, we've seen a few times, right? A big time reason people cancel is they have too much of something, for example.
Too much and too expensive. Yeah. Top two reasons. Yeah.
Too much, too expensive. And that's not exactly retention, you know, like these are just, it's almost like an OpEx category in a way.
It is. Well, it's also like when you think about the answer too much product, right? Does that mean that I actually just ordered too much? So like I'm ordering for my puppy and I accidentally ordered way more than my puppy's going to eat.
Yeah.
Or did I order it and my puppy hated it and now I have too much product sitting in my cupboard and I don't want it anymore, right?
For sure.
Like, and same thing with other consumables it's really important when you're getting into that, like this is like more of a tactical thing of like trying to break that example out or that answer out to say, do I have too much product because you never used it? Or do you have too much product because you ordered the wrong thing? Because if you order the wrong thing, let's adjust your schedule. You like the product, you're just canceling, you have too much. Okay, let's delay your shipment, get it every 2 months instead of every month.
Right.
If you have too much and you never used it, well, can we provide some education or some reasons why you should start with that, start that up? Let's delay your next shipment because of that kind of thing. So I think that's where a lot of this nuance comes into is people do think of every subscriber as kind of like the same, or you think of them as just one big cohort instead of like trying to understand that there's information that you can gather. Point of purchase, right? You guys know this very well from post-purchase, like understanding like intent behind why somebody bought your product, understanding how much they usually use. So like a really great brand example of this is Javi Coffee. Javi is incredible at optimizing for first order profitability and high first order AOV because they get you to buy, essentially they create an incentive to get you to buy a lot more of their product.
Yeah.
And there's different flavors. So there's an incentive to want to buy a lot of those things, but it's also like a coffee concentrate. So if you get 4 or 5 bottles, it actually takes a while to get through all of that.
Sure.
So if I'm going to sell you 4 or 5 bottles and a bottle lasts 1 month, are my default renewal rates going to be at 3 months or 4 months or 5 months? And yes, and as a brand, you can maybe err a little bit in your favor. Like, so it's a little bit sooner than maybe ideal because you can still capture a lot of revenue that way. But so you do have to kind of think about this of like, okay, how are we going to acquire somebody? What does this life cycle look like? What's going to work well for the consumer? In my opinion, short-term wins can often work in your detriment. So if I'm optimizing for first order profitability instead of looking at my payback period, right? I potentially will sell way more and then my retention will fall off a cliff and I might potentially just lose somebody because they have way too much product.
Totally.
If I'm optimizing for the right scenario up front, then that renewal rate can be stronger, but it really always comes back down to product.
Yeah.
Does the product work? Does it do what it says it does? Like, do you have like first like product experiences that make people love your product or use your product? And so consumables are great for that because you can often feel something or taste something right away.
Sure.
Didn't see if it works, but when you get into areas like, I think there's a local brand here in Utah, Mixers, where, you take a supplement, it takes several months to feel that effect for women. Another good example is Mars Men. It's a brand that we've worked with last year, testosterone supplement. How long can you convince somebody to keep taking a supplement when it takes 4 to 6 weeks to start feeling significantly different? So then you're looking at like, okay, now I've got to build this whole education series. Anyway,
Totally.
So it is thinking about that process and what do people need. So like a brand like Mars Men, you heavily invest in education up front because you want to drive product adoption. But if I have a really, really tasty like Grun's gummy and my kids just start taking it right away, I maybe don't worry about a ton of education.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure the kids are taking it. And then, oh, by the way, maybe a month or 2 from now, we have another product that works for you kind of thing.
This podcast is brought to you by BFF Creative. BFF Creative is a software that meets services. Any marketing collateral you need, whether that's ads, emails, print designs, or social media, all you have to do is submit a request and one of BFF Creative's qualified designers will create a design for you and it'll be completed in 2 to 3 days. BFF Creative allows you to submit as many requests and as many revisions as you can with just one monthly fee. And the best part is that it's month to month. No contracts, no hidden fees, no nothing. And if you use promo code Unstoppable30, you'll get 30% off for your first month on us. Just go to bffcreative.co, pick your plan, and sign up today.
Yeah, it seems like in the subscription world, it's you're dealing with a lot of survivorship bias analysis.
Yes.
Right? Like it's not necessarily what the data that's showing up is telling you, but what is not showing up is telling you.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite lessons, survivorship bias.
Explain what you mean by that.
So if you know, you know. Trevor?
No, explain it.
Okay, so there's a really great story of this from World War II. Okay, so World War II, America's making all these bombers. That's one of the earliest ways we entered the war in Europe. And so what happens is these bombers would come back and they basically would look at where all the bullet holes had hit or not. And so like US High Command is looking at all these bullet holes and they're thinking, well, we need to heavily reinforce the armor for where these planes got bullets. But the mistake that is in that is you're only seeing the example of people that survived. If that plane could take bullets in those areas and live, why would you reinforce that area? They survived.
Right.
The planes that didn't make it back got shot in areas that weren't shot. So like the engine and other areas that planes that survived weren't getting shot in.
Yeah.
The planes that were getting down, that's where they were getting shot. So they needed to reinforce armor in the areas that the survivors weren't being hit in. So it's a very counterintuitive thought, but the idea is I'm only getting information from people that are willing to give me information, or I'm only getting information from people that last. I'm not collecting information from people that are failing early on. And so a great example of this would be if I have a subscription brand and I'm not calling customers or doing research to find out how their first 5-7 days are going, I'm only finding out when they cancel.
I want to get into this. Like, what are some recommendations? Because I think what could be cool about this episode is I think there's a lot of like actionable things that you can, because all this makes sense. But I hear a lot of people, when we talk to people on the subscription side, you'll have people who say like, well, how do I find out why they're unsubscribing?
Right.
Like things that seem very basic, like, oh, you could just at the very end when somebody's canceling, you could, every subscription tool has a post survey that is asking why, right? But a lot of people just don't know where to start when it comes to diagnosing and figuring that out. So where do you have somebody?
One of the simplest things I would start for any brand, period, subscription or otherwise, is looking at how you're offering pop-ups when you're collecting information on your site. And if you're not leveraging, like, so let's just use a simple example like turmeric, okay? Because that's a really popular, or maybe collagen, or I don't know, maybe do you guys have an example of a product you want to throw out there? Because I always
use protein. Protein's a big one right now.
Protein's a great one. So let's just say protein powder. We're selling protein powder. So on a pop, and the interesting thing about protein is we all make assumptions about who takes it, right? But right now, we could all probably list 5, 10, 20 different reasons why people take protein powder. My wife takes it for a reason that's different than mine, right? My kids, if they're going to take it, because they're trying to grow. So if I'm selling protein powder, on my site, when people come to my site, I want to use a pop-up to start identifying why they're interested in the product, right? So like, what brings you to our site today? I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to gain muscle. I'm trying to recover from an injury, whatever those reasons are. So that's a touch point. And then post-purchase, I want to ask similar questions again related to that, but I also might go a little bit deeper about what other protein products you have tried, what other protein products you are taking, right? If it's a protein powder, are you using that in a shake? Are you using that as a meal supplement, right? So there's, again, I'm not even getting that much deep into the nuance here, but that is actually much deeper than most brands go.
Totally.
And then then at the point of cancellation, I'm asking questions around product usage too. Like if that too much product question, I want to just break that. So it's very simple things of like, is it too much? If it's too expensive, I actually want to know, did you not see enough value or did your budget change? Or you found a cheaper product. If it's too much product, are you not using the product?
Or is it not the bang for the buck?
Right.
That's another thing.
Exactly.
Right?
So then what happens is I start to find that, okay, 50% of my buyers are saying that they're trying to gain muscle. Okay. Well, when I'm onboarding people, now I have an opportunity to potentially educate them a little bit more about how our protein powder synthesizes for muscle creation. Okay. And then if my product isn't any better than every other protein powder on the market at doing that, then I potentially have a product like defensibility risk. But once you just start to get into that, I can start to understand too, like how many times other people are taking protein. Because protein is like some people take a shake every day. Some people taking 2 shakes a day. Some people are using it every 3rd day, but they're taking a gummy or they're taking a protein shake that's pre-made from Costco. So if I can get a little bit of that information and then I'm just going to spend a little bit of time talking to people that buy. As a founder, when you're early on, when you're a big brand, you can use software and customer service reps and all this stuff to do this. But just a simple, like if I could talk to 5 customers a week about how they're using my product and how they're prepping it. So a great example of this is Space Goods. So we interviewed their brand recently and they do this mushroom coffee stuff. And they started finding out that people that made it a certain way it just tasted better if you made it this way. And guess what? If you buy mushroom coffee and you've tried it a little before or not before and it tastes funky, you're not going to ever drink it again.
Sure. Yeah.
If you can have a really great cup. So what they've started doing is just a little bit of this research of figuring out how that works. And oh, by the way, these people over time last longer when you look at it in the data.
Yeah.
We're going to push really hard to get people to make this particular cup the first time. So that's what you start to learn is what people are doing with the product, what's not working. But the other piece would be expectations. A very simple one would say like the Mars Men testosterone example would be if you're finding people that are saying like, hey, I'm trying to feel better right away, or I'm taking this for libido or something like that. Well, if they go to have sex with their partner like 2 days after buying the product and they have a bad experience, your product doesn't work.
Are they going to point the finger at you? Yeah.
As opposed to saying, hey, this is how long it takes to feel this, what you should feel over time.
Yeah.
Those types of experiences, like that's how you start connecting those dots and getting into what people are doing with your product.
Totally. What have you found to be one of the best ways to communicate with a customer? Like, are you feeling like brands need to give incentives to get them on the phone? What can brands do to like, if they wanted to start today, do you just start making phone calls? Do you offer something? Do you send an email out and say, who's willing to talk to us? What do you do?
I think you do a mix of both,
okay.
Because every brand is a little bit different. But I do think like founder getting on the phone, like if anybody's giving you their phone number in Shopify, like you can call them personally. The laws around that are different than if you're opting them into marketing messages.
Sure.
And I think almost everybody on the planet, if you just bought something and you get a call from the founder or the co-founder or the head of product, most of the time people are going to be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Right. Like I very, very rarely get a call like that. Right.
Yeah.
So it's actually pretty rare. I get emails all the time asking me for feedback.
Totally.
And unless it's a brand I really, really care about or I hate for some reason, I'm not going to spend. And that is, again, the problem is surveys is they either really, really love you or they really, really hate you. And you're missing out on everybody in between.
Yeah.
But you can test simple examples as like, hey, we're just, I like actually Zamo for this. It's a Utah brand tech. You can embed like a quick little survey. So just click a couple things on the email. Doesn't load another form or another page to start getting more feedback. We're using that with Just Ingredients right now. It's really effective.
Awesome. What are some of the biggest mistakes you're seeing brands make when they're not playing offense, meaning they're not gathering that information? What's the biggest thing you're noticing?
Yeah, the biggest thing is you will probably miss out on like really obvious mistakes you're making in your program. Like I bought a sleep supplement a couple years ago. I'd seen the founder's content and I'm always trying to optimize sleep, staying asleep. And it was you make a cup of cocoa with this stuff and there's nowhere on the bottle or in the box about how long you should take it before bed. And so it's something just so obvious.
Sure.
And you're missing out on that.
Yeah.
The other thing would just be looking at like, what does a first product experience look like for us is the best way to both be offensive, but also educate at the same time.
Yeah.
So an example that I love, a brand I love is called X Endurance. They sell it helps you better with like endurance sports, CrossFit guys take it and stuff. Their onboarding looks like, don't take our product right away. Go do your big workout of the day or your big run of the week or whatever.
Yeah.
Track it, time it, start taking our product. And then 7 days later, go do that same workout again. They're basically asking you to prove that their product works right away.
Interesting.
And so not every brand can do that drastic of a thing, but if it's a cup of cocoa, if it's matcha, if it's an electrolyte, whatever that is, are there simple things that make product adoption? Like, if it's something as simple as putting like, hey, as you're mixing this up, like make sure you go for like 30 seconds because that creates better dilution, which you will feel in your body, right? Things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I remember there was a company called, there still is a company called Seek. They were one of the very first brands in the clear protein.
Yep.
And at first there wasn't a lot of education around when you would froth the solution in water, the protein in water, it would have like almost 2 inches thick of like foam on the top for whatever reason. And if you Just Ingredients says the same thing, Clean Simple Eats, like it's the same thing. And so they started to, you would notice people in their comments on social media would talk about this. And so eventually what they did was on the bottle, like on all of their bottles, it was like wait 2 minutes after, because what happens is like you would drink it and it was so disgusting. And you would think that that's just a natural thing that people would say, oh, I'm not going to drink this right now. Right. But I think people thought it was a problem. Right. And so I think there's one of the things that you're alluding to is I think that a lot of people nowadays think that a really good way to communicate with your audience is through things like text message and email, which isn't a bad way. Right. But when it comes to the like most important instructions, how important is it that that's physically in front of them?
I'll go one step further because there's a Utah brand here. They're not necessarily around anymore, but Ruvi, because they were in this green space.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And so I bought a packet and I went to make it and it was super clumpy and I was super like pissed. Yeah. And then as I'm like dumped it down the sink and I'm going to throw the package away, it says on the package, be sure to break it up before you dump it into the cup because otherwise it'll clump. And the irony there is they had it on the package, but I didn't see it. Yeah. And so my particular belief here and where we see this effective is as you start to gather this information and you talk to customers, you start to realize what an ideal product experience might look like. Yeah. You need to lean into it on every channel. So like the confirmation email when you get your order or you're welcoming somebody to the subscription should mention something as significant as that, as making that like that seek issue. Sure. You should be getting on the package, but also a product insert for first orders. Like how hard is it to trigger a first order insert in Shopify now? Yeah. Like it's the easiest thing in the world. Yeah. So now it's like, hey, here's how you make your perfect cup of clear protein. Right. And that's in the instruction. Now wait 2 minutes for the foam to go down. Right. And then now you've overcome one of your largest hurdles in product adoption, which is it's really easy to see that long term, but it's, I should say it's hard to see like that kind of impact like right away. Cause your first month churn might not change very much. Sure. But your second month and your third month is going to be better because now people have started using it early on and now they like it and they use it regularly. Because the goal for any subscription brand should be is if I can create a subscriber out of the first 7 to 10 days. Totally. That's what you should be focusing on after you've sold it. Everything should be around that.
Yeah, for sure.
And how much product market fit matters. Oh, 100%. So like, I mean, when you're talking about this whole situation, this example, you go back to a Groon's example, right? So why was Groon successful is because with the gummies, you don't have any of that.
Yeah. The Athletic Green paved the way for there to be a market and an appetite. And there's a lot of other brands, like there's Balance of Nature here in Utah and others like that. And then they roll out a gummy. Yeah. And think about what you'd give to a kid. Are you going to mix up a drink for a kid? Come on. Like that's what a lot of brands are trying to do.
Yeah, you might, but it's not going to work.
And even for yourself. Right. I mean, it's just the convenience factor. So like the product market fit side, I think there's a lot of people who think they have a subscription or they have a product that will work for a subscription without thinking about what's the actual product market fit equation and what's the product life cycle. Because every product has a life cycle in the market too. Mm-hmm. So you're left kind of piecing some of those things together and it's like, hey, this might work over time, but you're going to have to make significant changes to what your actual product is. Right. You know, I mean, we've seen that before. It's just the way the product is presented matters. Absolutely. Especially with consumables.
Yeah. I just talked to a brand yesterday and they have a big retail presence and they're getting ready to launch online and it's a consumable. Mm-hmm. And so in our discussion, it was very like heavily around, well, hey, if you want to make this work, right now to purchase that product in stores, you're talking about $10 to $20. $10 to $20 is too little of an average order value online unless you can have somebody subscribing. And even then you probably need it higher. Right. And so this was a huge discussion when we're talking about the product market fit and the offer. They were offering somebody, like in stores, you can buy them and test them out and you're buying these things in packs of 4 or 5. which is great for like hey, I went to Harmon's, I'm going to test this out. That was really good. I'll go buy more. It's almost kind of the way you would buy ice cream, right? If I buy a pint of ice cream, that's going to last me a couple of days, maybe a day if I'm sharing it with somebody, maybe.
Or come on,
you're just going to eat it.
Watching a Hallmark movie, it's gone in an hour.
If you're Mark,
Trevor,
you're eating it twice a week, you know?
If it's me, it's 3 times a week.
If it's Jenny's ice cream, he's going through 2 or 3 of those a week, you know? So
man after my own heart.
Not a joke.
It is the best ice cream.
It is the best ice cream.
I'll just say I've had to cut back a little bit on my ice cream consumption.
Yeah, it is good. But you have to, I told them, I said, 4 is not enough for a subscription product because it is a sweet. That doesn't mean someone's eating it daily.
Right.
But 4 could be one day for one family.
Snacks are just really, really hard because they're so different. People are so used to just picking them up when they need them. We're just now seeing a strong trend with like Walmart delivery or Uber Eats or something where you're door dashing or having something delivered from you that's from a snack. But snacks can be really tough. Beverages are really, really hard. Yeah. Because people are just used to the cost to ship them makes it tricky too.
Sure.
But people are just used to like same thing in our house. Like I've got so much root beer in our fridge because we just kept drinking it and now nobody's drinking it.
Yeah.
And, same thing with snacks. I go to buy a giant other box of mixed Chips Ahoy cookies and my kids haven't touched it because they're just not into that right now.
Yeah.
And my own preferences and everybody. So snacks are really hard. I think that it's often about simplifying the offer so that you're not necessarily if I'm going to get somebody on a subscription, it should be there's a really good reason to be on that other than just discounting or convenience. It's hey, we have often it might be a membership option, might be the better offer. It's hey, if we have all these snacks, but we have these elite special snacks that are only available on subscription or they're only available to subscribers or they're only available as a gift to
I'm glad you segued into the membership model.
Yeah. And so memberships is what becomes really compelling for that because now instead of me worrying about how often you're consuming snacks, I can use memberships as a mechanism, as a leverage for you to come back to buy your snacks from us, meaning we'll give you 5% cash back. Totally. We'll give you $50 in store credit. We'll give you, if you buy $100 membership, we'll give you this special elite snack that people talk about online that this is the only way to get that kind of thing. Or it's a limited run because we don't have a ton of them,
It's the Costco model.
Yep.
And I think that's where a lot of people, when they're thinking about a subscription for their business, especially on the e-commerce side of things, think about memberships too. You might not have a product that it makes sense to have a subscription in the sense of they're getting something every month.
Sure.
But maybe if you're a clothing brand and they have $100 subscription membership a year, well, you can get that lifetime value up by $100. Right. And then you can get their AOVs up by offering them these very limited edition or unique experiences that only they can get. So it's very limited launches, runs that only your VIPs are going to get.
Special offers. If they spend a certain amount of money, they get a free gift with anything they buy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure. I'm interested in that membership. Any brand right now, because you have a lot of people who want to start some sort of subscription, but like you said, if it's a clothing company or a shoe company or a jewelry company that just naturally doesn't make, off the first of your head, the first top of your, top of your mind, you're not thinking I'm a subscription company, right? Any examples of brands that have a cool membership program that people who are thinking about how they can implement that in their world can look at? Yeah,
there's some interesting ones in fashion, but I'm not sure that this may be a little bit too of a rabbit hole. Theirs isn't around any. I don't think theirs is active anymore, but Little Milk Bar was doing this for a little while. So they sell desserts online. So coming back to the snack question.
Yeah.
And they basically, and again, this comes to paying attention to your customers. They started listening to people loved all these drops and wanted to get early access to new recipes or things they were doing. And so they actually started a subscription. It was technically really more of a membership where you're paying like $150 a month to get a new item they were creating that wasn't available on the rest of the site yet. And they would create a little video with the founder and the head chef, like how they had developed that. Like that was probably one of my favorite ones, but they ran into issues with they're making cakes. Like it's hard to do that at scale and keep quality the same. So they ran into some scale issues and they have anyway. So that's probably one of my favorite ones in recent memory. That's not necessarily a typical like subscription offering, but I'll point out a couple of brands to go look at. So like X Endurance I mentioned is one because they do both a subscription and a membership. So you can subscribe to their supplements, and they also upsell you on a $100 membership that gets you free shipping and store credit. But also they've partnered with all these other endurance like apps and companies on you get discounts or access to, like their whole strategy is just what value can we stack on the membership?
Yeah.
Right. That's their entire strategy for that. So I really like them. Of course I'm spacing on the other one.
Well, I mean, you have, I mean, one I can think of, like you've got like Amex that does stuff with Delta. Like, you know, I'm a huge reserve card person because which is what, $700 a year.
Right.
But I get all of these small benefits from, you know, Sky Club access to hotel credits to.
I know. I just realized I get like a Uber Eats premium or something for free on the car.
Exactly.
I had the car for like 3 years and I just opted into that.
I think
like
I get like Hulu for free or something like that. And so you can do these cool partnerships that are maybe even outside of your direct world. Obviously Amex has such a good deal with Delta, so the Sky Club is a very natural thing.
I would just say with that, it's really all about paying attention to your customers. This comes back to the same question. Like, so X Endurance has launched that because they know they have endurance athletes. They know what they care about. And ironically, they launched a skincare. So they're a supplement company for a bunch of outdoor athletes. They launched a skincare brand, which normally would not be next up on your product development bingo card, but they were getting.
It makes a lot of sense for endurance athletes.
But if you think about how often, like, and so here's the irony is I hate buying random crap online. I'd rather go into the store a lot, which is irony for the industry I work in, but I bought it because I trust that brand so much because of how much their supplements work. And again, I've done that test.
Sure.
I could tell you it changed how I performed.
Yeah.
I bought it to try it. Now I'm onto a different skincare thing now at this point, but that's, you know, more about consumer behavior and anything. So I think if you pay attention to what people need, what they're wanting, you know, brands we've worked with, like, you know, if you look at like Beehive Meals, like they're looking at trying to add more options to the menu, but different ways to make that. So like they've added different ways you can prep food. They've got like rubs or salts for like barbecuing and other things. So they're trying to listen to what their ideal customer is doing with their product and say, what more could we add? Or that would be a great offer. Oh, I'll remember that. The other brand that I love that does this really well is Carnivore Snacks. So they are selling like basically like jerky that's made with just like beef and salt.
Yeah.
And so they have a one-time product, they have a subscription, but their membership has some of those same like cash back stuff. But again, this comes down to a constraint in the business. There are certain product lines that they can't get enough of to sell on the site to everybody. Sure. They might have a limited run of some like special Wagyu out of Wisconsin. They only have 10,000 units.
Right. Yeah.
So guess what? Those units are only available to members.
Really cool.
And there's a member page or a member that can filter that. So, and that means, so their numbers are like, hey, a subscriber is worth like 2 times as much as a one-time person.
Yeah.
A member is worth 3 times as much as a one-time person. So even more than a subscriber would be worth. And then you combine those two together and it's even bigger.
Interesting, because I don't think a lot of subscription brands think that they should add a membership on top of it because, we already have.
It makes a lot of sense if you have limited runs.
Yeah.
And special launches.
If you're charging for shipping,
like, that's
if you're
why it works
charging
with
for
fashion.
shipping for everything, then I would look at doing it because you could potentially get somebody who's buying a few times a year to want to buy it for that.
Totally.
Is another one. But yeah, you're right. There needs to be some kind of limited element. And this does come down to like the nature of the company, what they're releasing. Like if you're releasing products all the time and people love that you do that, then a membership option might work for early releases. The irony of like, say like Little Milk Bar's method is they were basically getting customers to pay them to give them product feedback.
Yeah.
Because if they loved the product, they would put it into the main line. If they didn't like it or had some mixed feedback, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Sure.
And people were paying them for the privilege of doing that.
That's cool.
The cool thing about membership is if you can make it work and if you have the right business for it, but it's monetizing FOMO out of your most loyal cohort. So your most diehard fans, you get to monetize that FOMO.
Yeah.
Right.
In a way that makes sense for them, like you're adding value for them and for you. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense. It makes it make more sense to offer that cohort unique things for your business as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just, it's not just predatory from the business side of, we're just trying to get more money. It actually allows your business to serve that group in a different way.
Sure. Yeah.
Which ultimately, I think most brands should be thinking about how they can better serve their VIP customers, because they're still making up the majority of profit in their business.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, we do that analysis a lot.
Yeah.
And it's always shocking. It's never not shocking.
I know.
Yeah. What's a couple things like for people who are listening that your average subscription business that you talk to that isn't putting a lot of time and attention, if you had like 2 or 3 things you would say for them to focus on, what would those be?
Yeah, the first one, like I think is maybe the easiest one to understand, is the billing reminder.
Yeah.
So most brands treat that as like a transactional email. They might be using it like default out of their subscription app. I would highly recommend pushing that into Klaviyo or whatever email service provider you're using. And the mistake brands are making is they'll say like, hey, your order's about to renew, like click here to make changes.
Yeah.
And so you're basically it's a bad psychology of I'm just prompting you to go cancel, as opposed to like, let's say the protein powder example we were talking about.
Yeah.
And I know that the majority of people coming in are looking at gains in muscle.
Sure.
So, billing reminder email might look at something like, hey, here's another month of gains coming your way. Like, remember to stay serious. Here's some tips. Hey, we dropped this new article on some different workout strategies for muscle building. Like you can grab that here. Oh, hey, by the way, like we've also got a creatine you can add to your next order. And by the way, if you have too much product, which is a common issue with this, you can click right here to skip or delay your next order. And then I've got my manage my subscription button.
Got it.
So I'm leading with value and education.
Super
it's a
smart.
huge real estate that most brands aren't leveraging.
Yeah.
I would also argue that like people that aren't sending that, like you're missing out on a big opportunity to offer some of that control and upsells in that real estate. Like we run a lot of tests where sending the billing reminder does not actually impact overall churn if done well. So that's
if done well, it actually will like really help it because there are plenty of times where it just solves I have too much of, especially in the consumable space.
Because right there, you can give them the option of delaying
like
instead of canceling.
Instead of going to the portal where the cancel button is.
We've been Just Ingredients subscribers for like 2 years and we go through, I want to say 3 bags of protein like every 6 weeks or something like that, and then we get some electrolytes and stuff like that. And every now and then, if I'm lifting a little bit more and so I go from 1 shake a day to 2 shakes a day, like there will be a time where I don't have enough.
Right.
And so I'll go to the store and just pick it up.
Right.
And then over 6 months of that happening a couple different times, maybe all of a sudden now I have too much. Yep. Right. And so we just did this the other day where we were able to skip it for like 4 weeks.
Yep.
And versus my wife just being like, hey, you've just been buying this at the store. Should I just cancel this? And then potentially risk us now moving and do something else, and seeing, oh, well, Clean Simple Eats just had a deal and their protein powders are very similar. I'm going to go buy theirs now. Yeah.
So that billing reminder is kind of the first place. I mentioned the cancel flow, like try just breaking out some of those reasons. Like to me, cancel flow stuff is more about is creating a founder video. Mm-hmm. So we see this be really, really compelling where you as a founder just take 1 minute to explain like, hey, here's the reason, the reason we started this company was we just really wanted to put a higher quality protein in the market. We care about you as a subscriber. So if you have any issues, like, reach out to support or you can pick one of these reasons. We know we care about you. Something just as simple as that shot on an iPhone, again, 1 minute, like we see that save rates on brands go from like a 5% cancel save rate to like 15% just by adding a video. Yeah. So just something simple like that would be the second thing. And then the third one is...
Are you saying that a human touch matters?
It's shocking. Especially considering the ones that will kill you is when it's a founder-led brand who's in like all of their ads on their homepage, on their product page, in their emails, all that stuff. And then their cancel flows like, tell us why you canceled.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, you missed the last step. Like they bought because of this person. Why isn't that person at the last touch point to remind them why they bought?
Interesting.
But the last thing is more of like, if you're thinking like long-term, if you're thinking about as you're a brand, you're an average subscription brand and you want to know what the biggest muscle to build in subscriptions is your growth tactics. It's how you're offering subscriptions. So looking at offer testing, whether you're doing bulk options or free gifts, look at all the other brands out there that are doing to get ideas. I just drop this into Claude and just tell it that here's 20 brands. I want you to go look at what they're doing and give me feedback. and just look at how you can get better at that. Because if you can get better at offer testing, you'll start to acquire the right subscribers that will naturally want your product more. Just as a very simple example of, if I'm selling protein powder and I run a test where I give a free bag of creatine to people that buy like 2 bags on a subscription. Well, anybody that's interested in protein and creatine and they're building muscle is a more ideal customer than just some random person buying a bag of protein, right? So just something simple as that will actually get you, they spend more, conversion rates go up, and your retention improves.
100%. Have you seen one brand that's doing this really well right now? It's kind of like a newer brand that they're like on this massive surge is IM8, David Beckham's.
No,
you have to look at have to look at them. Like one,
I think I've read about his.
Like one, they're massively going after like athletes.
Okay.
So you've got like I was at Indian Wells, which is a big tennis tournament in Palm Springs, and the number 1 woman in the world, her whole entire team was decked out in IM8 gear. Nice. So they're doing that, number 1. And then number 2, their first time profitability thing that they're trying to accomplish of getting people to spend more money with the amount of gifts and things that they're doing is incredible. And they're not, it's fun to watch. And I've watched, I just keep track of that offer because it changes because they're doing these, but IM8's a really good one. It's IM and then IM, the letter, and then the number 8.
Okay.
.com, I think. So it's a good one.
That is cool.
Yeah, you have to check it out. Yeah. Well, dude, thank you so much. Where can people find you?
Yeah, big on LinkedIn, Matthew Holman, or you can learn more at thesubscriptiondoc.com. I actually have a ton of free resources there with like email ebooks, actually a script for that founder video I mentioned. You can drop into AI with your brand and rewrite it for you. So yeah, that's the best place.
Amazing, dude. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. And thank you everybody for listening, and we will see you guys next week.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
I always say we'll see you next week, but it's actually every other week now. So
we'll see you next time.
I'm a liar.
Bi-weekly.
Yeah.
Just confusing.
So confusing.
Thanks, brother. Thank you for listening to the Unstoppable Marketer podcast. If there's a brand, campaign, strategy, or marketing tactic that you want us to review, please DM me at @TrevorCrump on Instagram or TikTok, or at the Unstoppable Marketer podcast. And of course, if you got value from this episode, or if you like it whatsoever, please make sure you're subscribing, you're liking, you're following, and for sure, go leave us a review to let us know that we're doing a good job. We will see you guys next time.